this isn't a huge deal, but on the outset, it has to do with layoffs are always unfortunate in any industry. In any merger, I always say, in any merger in the history of the planet Earth has never resulted in more jobs. It's always been less jobs. So Microsoft just laid off almost 13,000 people out of a planned 18,000 because they recently acquired Nokia. Remember, they still make phones? They're bigger around the world, not in the U.S. anymore.
No, I know. And I don't want to say it's not a big deal because it's the single largest amount of layoffs Microsoft has ever put down at once.
Put down like a dog.
Yeah. And I feel like it's indicative of a company that is bringing something on and isn't entirely sure what they're necessarily going to do with it yet. And I don't know. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of redundancy when you're bringing over an entire mobile division, but my question, I don't know why Microsoft is so adamant about a mobile division. It has not worked for them ever.
Do you think they want to put out their own phone, like how Google has their own phone and Windows had a phone that no one bought?
Well, they did. Yeah. The Windows 7 phone, and everyone hated it.
So is this their way of getting back in the game?
And they had a Zune, and the Zune failed miserably. And I don't know what they're chasing with this. I don't know if they're hoping that third time's the charm. But that's a lot of layoffs, and that's a scary number, and my heart goes out to all the people who lost their jobs. And like you said, of course, during a merger, there's going to be layoffs. But, I mean,
that's a big chunk, though.
Yeah, it's a huge chunk. And I don't really have an angle to come at with this because this really isn't... I don't think this really says anything about the games division. But Microsoft itself has been in a weird place lately, getting rid of their studio, which was completely useless in the first place.
We'll get to that in a second.
But they got rid of that. And now they're bringing on the Nokia side, and then they're laying off a bunch of people. I mean, Microsoft from the outside, at least from the very outside, it looks like a company that is on very choppy water.
Doesn't know what basically they don't know what direction they're going.
Yeah, exactly. They have no idea, and it's not good. I mean, not for anyone else who's working. I can't imagine that anyone who's working there that missed this round of layoffs is feeling particularly fucking secure.
Because it's only one other a new failed phone from Nokia. They can say screw it, or we'll axe more people. Right. And that puts Nokia on precarious ground. I don't know. Nokia was in. They sold it for $7.5 billion, which is not a small number. No. But you always think of Nokia as like one of the big original cell phone makers back in the late '90s.
The interchangeable faceplates that you get from mobile
exactly.
kiosks.
But you go overseas. Like I was in India. What was that? It wasn't recent. 2008. I was in India. Like all the old phone companies that aren't big here are always big in like those developing nations. Sure. They always have it like what's the TV company? LG. No one has an LG TV in the U.S. No. You go overseas, they're huge. That's bigger than Sony in these other countries, in some of these developing countries. So yeah, we'll see what happens. If there's going to be a new phone from Microsoft. I mean, why else would they buy this company? I don't know the ins and outs of this that much. So doesn't mean that there's going to be Xbox isn't going anywhere. I don't think, but it's never good. That's a big risk. $7.5 billion. Yeah, big risk.
Now, I'm not one that subscribes to the whole, a system's going to disappear in the middle of its lifespan thing. Sure. I don't think so. I think they're going to work what they can to get out of it. Anyone who says Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo is dead, 2 years into a console release is talking out their ass because that's what they want to see happen. But does this bode well for future things that Microsoft might want to do in the video game industry? No, probably. I mean, maybe not.
And maybe
we don't know.
You'll take less risks, obviously. Yes. Because you have all this money, $7.5 billion.
Risks like making a Kinect necessary and motion sensing and a TV studio.